Twins drop game one to Baltimore 7-4. I got our Twins expert, Lou Hennessy. He's going to help us break it all down. It's all coming up next on the Locked On Twins POSTCAST.
You are Locked On Twins POSTCAST, part of Locked On Minnesota on the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
What's up? What's up? Back in the lab, back at it. Another Twins POSTCAST episode right here on the Locked On Sports Minnesota Network. You got myself, Luke Inman, at Luke_Spinman. That's the man, Sweet Lou Hennessy, Twins expert over at Zone Coverage MN. He's on X at Sweet Lou MN. And Lou, before we jump into all the action, quick reminder, today's episode brought to us by eBay Motors. Keep your ride or die alive with over 122 million parts at the prices you want with ebaymotors.com. All right, man. Game one in Baltimore. Twins taking out, this heating up Orioles team. This Orioles lineup, man, averaging a league best 5.5. Call it 6 runs per game right now. Louie Varland on the mound gets in a little trouble in the first. Not his fault. Infield error. That would eventually lead to quick 2-run deficit early in this one. And honestly, man, I know they beat the Dodgers 3-2, but coming into this one, it just felt like if you get down early, it was just going to feel like it's going to be a lot to overcome. You know what I mean? Because you knew 2-3 runs probably wasn't going to be enough versus this lineup, this Baltimore lineup right now. And because of how much they're struggling at the plate right now, things just seem to get a little amplified, so much more. Every run you give up, that's kind of what it felt like today. Louie Varland, though, gave it his best effort. 5 innings, 94 pitches, 4 earned. We'll do a deep dive on him here in a minute. Twins try to keep up at the plate here, Lou. Miranda's solo shot, another RBI single in the 4th. He had a great day. Jeffers continues his tear, 2-run RBI to cut the lead down to 3 in the 7th inning. Twins left 5 more on base today. They went 2 for 9 with runners in scoring position. And in the end, though, just couldn't match Baltimore's firepower at the plate. They lose game one, 7-4. I'll kick it over to you, Lou. Start with your just biggest takeaways, kind of your 8 topics from this one.
Yeah, like you said, first of all, the Baltimore lineup is no joke. Coming into it, we knew it was going to be a huge challenge, especially for Louie Varland, still a young pitcher trying to establish himself after facing 2 other really hard lineups to start the year, in the Milwaukee Brewers and the LA Dodgers. And all 3, we've seen a little bit of challenges keeping the ball in the ballpark. He gave up 2 more home runs today. That's always going to be the crux for him. And unfortunately, they tagged that last one on in the 5th inning, I want to say, when he was out there. And that was just kind of the story of the game for Lou.
Yeah, no, you're totally right. Big picture with Lou. I mean, again, I think you hit the A topic there. This Baltimore lineup, I mean, I'll touch on it a little bit more here in a second. It's just so rocks. It's just scary top to bottom. But, you look at Louie, 5th inning, he's hitting 98 on the gun, still throwing straight gas deep in the 5th inning. I know he got shelled in the box score, right? You're going to look at the box score tomorrow morning. It's going to say 11 hits, 4 earned, 6 Ks, 0 walks. But again, that Baltimore lineup, averaging, call it 6 runs per game, maybe the best in the bigs, top to bottom, who's kidding who? That is a gauntlet. Not to mention, you get down 2-0 playing from behind in the 1st inning because of an error. That's not your fault. Maybe just one of those days is what I'm getting at. Oh, what's your overall thoughts, though, and kind of outlook on Louie Varland, both today, but bigger picture inside this rotation?
Just like in his previous 2 starts, we saw some flashes of what everybody has really liked out of Louie Varland so far in his young career. He showed flashes of that cutter. Unfortunately, it got a little too much of the plate this time around, but we saw plenty of a swing and miss on that last year, especially when he moved to the bullpen. So he's got the raw tools that are there, and we knew coming into spring this year that he was tinkering with a couple of pitches that I don't think are quite there yet, but like I said, we saw some good flashes. I thought his curveball looked really good today. He got some swing and miss and a couple strikeouts on that. So, the game's about adjustments, and the opposing lineup seemed to be adjusting to him. Now it's his turn to do it right back at them and figure something out with his repertoire.
Yeah, well said there. And again, I know this is a Twin show. I get it. I just got to give a little bit more credit where credit's due, because this is the first time, Lou, I've sat down and watched this Baltimore lineup this year. And man, stacked to the gills with talent. Big name after big name after big name. Not to mention he got babyface, Jackson Holiday, number 1 overall pick. He's batting 9th. Guy looks like he just walked out of the womb with a ball and a glove and a bat, man. Unbelievable. That's what you get too, by the way, when you're drafting top 3 for like 8-9 years straight, I guess. But give me your just quick 2 cents on this Orioles team. What's their ceiling? Because it's been a long time. I know they were solid last year, but in general, it's been a long time since we've seen them so loaded with potential and talent. They were in the gutter of that East Division for what felt like decades, really, until that new ownership change that happened a year or 2 ago.
Sure. Yeah. And on the radio broadcast today, I want to say Paul Molitor was talking about how everyone in their lineup currently is either a first or second rounder that has panned out. That's a credit to them for their player development system. And they're seeing the fruits of their labor here as they exploded onto the scene last year with 100+ wins. And they look just as dangerous this year, and we definitely saw the good side of them today.
Yeah, I mean, you kind of nailed it. It's one thing to have early picks. It's a whole nother thing to hit on all those picks, right? Yeah. They're not all going to pan out. I mean, I'm a big NFL draft nerd. That's coming up in 10 days' time.
Sure.
Trust me, I know. Just because you're picking in the top 5, top 10 doesn't mean the guy's going to pan out. I can think of one. I think his name's Louis Varland, perhaps. I know he wasn't a top 10 pick, but I'm just saying it's one thing to have all these early picks. You still got to hit on them. You got to develop him. They got to progress. And eventually that's what you're seeing. If you do it right, what Baltimore's got going on right now. Did it or does it surprise you to see someone like Jackson Holiday already being called up, being just so young, so inexperienced? I know they talked about it on the broadcast. That's why I'm bringing it up. Just how, willing teams are now to get these young studs up in the ranks, give them a chance to develop a lot earlier now, just given how much the game has kind of adapted and morphed a little bit to so much more, athleticism built off speed and power, things like that. So why not give them a chance instead of sitting down in the minors for 4 or 5 years, I guess, right? Do you have the same mindset, I guess? And what would that mean, I guess, for the Twins young studs like Walker Jenkins, Brooks Lee, guys like that, if you had to guess?
Yeah, I think you got to take it situation by situation, but especially with Holiday that we're seeing here, he's the top ranked prospect for a reason. He's got this huge pedigree behind him, and he absolutely demolished the little bit of minor leagues that he saw earlier. Yeah. And it kind of depends on where the team is themselves, what kind of situation they're at. The Baltimore Orioles obviously had a huge year last year, and just very few holes in their lineup coming into this year, knowing that, okay, Jackson could get up here pretty quick and hopefully establish himself and just go toe and toe with Rutschman and Cowser and Henderson and the whole list of young studs that they have in that lineup. So I think it's kind of situation to situation. I'm not sure what it would mean for the Twins, and especially some of their young studs. But it's interesting to see what those really tough, I guess you could say, tanking years get you if you do it right.
Right. No, well said there. All right. Time for our favorite segment. Time for the Rocco Report. I'm going to tee you up. Just tell me your favorite or least favorite, for that matter, move or decision or whatever it may be from today's game from Rocco Baldelli. What's the Rocco Report say today after this game?
I thought it was really interesting, and I'm happy to see that he put Eddie Julian in against a lefty at the bottom of the lineup, because on one hand Julian last year had his struggles against lefties, and that was well documented, and obviously Rocco's trying to get his offense going as much as possible, but it's still important for young players to see, the other end of these splits here from time to time. And I think this was a good opportunity for him to do it. And it was awesome to see him leave him in there too when Aiken, the lefty reliever, came in. And Rocco showing faith in Eddie, or at least allowing him the opportunity to play through some of these challenges. And he rewarded him with a nice double. So it was good for everybody.
I got to be honest, man. Sometimes we come on here, it's like, okay, give me the Rocco Report. There's not a lot to choose from, really. So the fact that you even pulled one out, and I thought you made a really good case, making sure Ed Julian's still in the lineup versus those lefties. Well said there. Some box score scouting here for, again, I get it. Doesn't always tell the whole story. Just something to go off of. I like to do this. Jeffers, 3 for 4, 2 more ribbies. Guys on absolute fire right now. Byron Buxton, 1 for 4 with the run scored. Julian, as mentioned, 1 for 3 with the run scored. Santana, 1 for 4. Miranda, 3 for 4, 2 ribbies and a home run. Farmer really struggling, 0 for 3 again. Martin, 1 for 4. He got 1 at bat in the 9th inning. So 1 for 4. He's kind of been a nice little spark plug in my opinion. But just final thoughts when you see some of these box score numbers. Anyone else jump out to you today for good or bad?
Really refreshing to see Miranda get a few hits
Yeah.
here, and especially
Yeah.
that home run that he unloaded on. I think he said it went 411 feet or something. So that was really great to see. He's going to be an important part of their offense while Royce is gone and while Correa is out. So it was good to see him finally step up here, and hopefully he can get some positive momentum and keep that going. Especially with some of the offensive challenges we've seen from Willie Castro, that we've seen from Farmer.
Right.
We saw Farmer drive one today that got caught in the gap there, but
Mhm.
still, it's been a tough going.
Hey, that Baltimore left field, man. What's going on, dude? What do you got to do? What do you got to do to hit one out of that left field in
Yeah.
Baltimore, man? Unbelievable. All right, plenty more deep dive on this one, plus our nerdy stat of the day coming up. That's all coming up right after this. Quick reminder, today's episode brought to you by eBay Motors. Passion, drive, patience. The formula for winning championships is also what keeps your ride or die alive. And eBay Motors, they got everything you need to maintain your vehicle and level it up to the peak performance. Superchargers, roof racks, exhaust kits, LED headlights. eBay Motors, literally, they got it all. And whether you're into speed, power, or style, eBay Motors has got you covered. Check this out. With over 122 million parts for your number one ride or die, you'll always find exactly what you're looking for. And with eBay's guaranteed fit, your part is guaranteed to fit your ride every time or your money back. Because with eBay Motors, you're burning rubber, not cash. With all the parts you need at the prices you want, it's easy to make your car the MVP and bring home that win. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply. eBay's guaranteed fit, only available to U.S. customers. All right, so this team's obviously, just call a spade here, going through some growing pains right now, I guess you'd call it. Not only are your two best players, Correa, Royce Lewis, they're on the shelf, but, just in general, even before the Correa injury, they just haven't come close to playing their best baseball yet, or anything like what we saw last year, to say the least. So I just wanted to touch on some of these injuries real quick, maybe some ripple effects, and some of the other new names we've started to see here. So first off, okay, you got Correa on the 10-day IL. That means more Willie Castro, more Kyle Farmer, obviously, more Miranda. Again, he was great today. Royce Lewis, obviously, we've talked a lot about that. And then Max Kepler as well. Then to make matters worse, by the way, the fun, young, hot prospect you're all amped about who would be filling in at shortstop, Brooks Lee, he's hurt too. So it's just been absolutely brutal. A bevy of injuries right now. Twins really going through it. I guess what's the overall outlook for them in the meantime while these guys try to get healthy? Like, what's the goal if you're a fan? Is it just try to stay afloat until some of these guys get back? Maybe, kind of go 500 at best kind of thing, or what? And then, part two, just real quick, which guys subbing in have impressed you, kind of stuck out in the interim, if any?
Yeah, I think that's a good way to put it, is that, Royce and Correa are the heart of your lineup.
Yeah.
And luckily they got some relatively, hopefully good news with Correa that his injury won't be as long as it was first anticipated.
Right.
But still, in the meantime, that's a good chunk of your lineup that's missing. I think it's fair to say, hey, look, we just got to get our feet under us, tread some water here, and see if we can get them back early on in May, or for Correa possibly. I don't think they have a timeline for him yet, but like you said, just kind of tread water for the time being. Last year is kind of a good blueprint for that. For the first half, they were right around 500, and then in the second half, they really took off and got some momentum heading into the playoffs. And if that's what it takes to do it this year, hopefully that's what the timeline shakes out for.
Any new faces that have kind of popped out, even pitching wise too? Like, personally, really fun to see Woods Richardson on the mound versus Detroit the other day, and he looked solid out there too. That was super encouraging. How huge would that be if he can keep developing into a starter down the road for Rocco and company?
Yeah, his performance was very encouraging on
Yeah.
Saturday, and I think that he'll probably get plenty of opportunities this year. I think that he's going to get a handful of starts in the big league rotation, and hopefully he can bring that same gusto that he had on Saturday. Some other folks that have really impressed me, filling in some roles here. It's nice to see Austin Martin, like you said, kind of continue his on base streak and playing some good defense out there, especially in left field. It's been good to see him, and Julian is starting to turn it around a little bit. He's not a replacement, but they're definitely going to rely on him as an everyday player, especially with other veterans kind of struggling.
Yeah, ESPN's bold prediction before the season started, I mentioned this on the show after game one. Ed Julian, ESPN's bold prediction, had Ed Julian hitting 30 home runs and having a 400 OPS, I believe. So yeah, big expectations is my point for Ed Julian for sure. And they're definitely relying on a lot of these young bats. Definitely. One more name I just thought of, Cole Sands. He's flashed, kind of popped in the pen. That's been great to see as well, right? Encouraging signs from yet another guy in the bullpen right now for the Twins.
Absolutely. He so far has been kind of relegated to that kind of mop up long reliever duty. But if he keeps pitching like he has, Rocco's no stranger to letting these guys kind of earn promotions and earn bigger opportunities in higher leverage situations. So it's good that he has the capability to eat a couple innings from time to time, because they're for sure going to need that throughout the year. It's also good to know that if Jackson, Stewart, and some of their A options get used up early in the game, or if it goes to extra innings, that you can rely on somebody like Cole Sands. Hopefully, if he can keep this going.
Yeah, that's been a lone bright spot, I feel like, or at least compared to expectations, that bullpen's been rock solid. Who's the one guy here, Lou, that you're most concerned with after these first 15 games? Kepler was really struggling before he got hurt. I know he's always been kind of hot and cold coming out of the gate every year, though. Kyle Farmer really going through it right now. Who's the one guy, though? You had to pick one guy. Who's the one guy top of your head, and why?
I'm a huge Carlos Santana fan. I have been,
Okay.
Since he was with Cleveland, and they didn't do much in free agency this year, but he was one of their key moves. And it sounded like from the get-go that they were anticipating he would be an everyday player, whether that's at first base or DH, batting from both sides of the plate. And so far he looks just extremely turned around. He's got the highest chase rate of his career here. And it's been a tough go, and it's hard to ask a 38-year-old to turn it around in an instant, but it feels like that there's sand kind of running out of that hourglass here. So we'll see.
Yeah, not necessarily the Jim Tomei experience that we got, 15, 20 years ago either. Get that DH first baseman guy coming over from Cleveland. He played for the White Sox and 9 other teams. But yeah, that makes me think of that. Talk about a serious flashback there. Okay. Other end of the coin, give me one guy that's impressed you the most through these 15 games. Now, like one guy who's exceeded expectations when you think back to the preseason outlook we had for this team. I know Ryan Jeffers, man. He's been a dog. He'd probably be my pick, but who do you got?
Yeah, we already mentioned him. Cole Sands is huge there. I really liked what we were seeing from Jorge Alcala, and they sent him down yesterday to get a fresh arm up here. I anticipate that he'll be up pretty soon. He still had options remaining, so they can send him down without the risk of somebody else snatching him right now. But he looked very impressive early on, and I think they want him to try to get ahead of hitters in the count. He was coming into a lot of these 1-0, 2-0. So I think that's what he can refine if you really want to say anything. I think it was mostly to get the fresh arm up here, but I'm excited to see Alcala back up in the big league bullpen soon.
Yeah. Glad you mentioned him for sure. He's been a bright spot as well. All right. Nerdy stat of the daytime. Any fun or crazy stat or analytic you got kind of locked and loaded you can share with the class? Obviously looking for something Twins related, but honestly, we'll take whatever you got.
Sure. No, so coming into tonight's games, Louie Varland had the 7th worst opponent OPS when the count was 0-2. So when he's 2 strikes ahead, he had the 7th worst ops, which was 828. Near the top of that leaderboard, though, was an interesting name. His second place was Luis Gil of the Yankees, and he was actually a Twins minor leaguer that they traded to the Yankees in 2018 for Jake Cave. So I know that he was also starting tonight. I haven't seen how he did. But interesting name to see a pretty key stat there, which was on full display for Louie tonight. He had a few, I think both of those home runs were coming on 0-2 counts, or at least the second one was.
Man, is that something that you expect or assume will just kind of even itself out, revert back to the mean throughout a long season? Or is that something where, okay, whether it's mechanically or strategy wise, I don't know what it could be, but something that needs to be fixed on his end specifically?
Yeah, it's a tricky thing, but he definitely needs to find some chase pitch that he can, throw almost nowhere near the, I don't want to say nowhere near the zone, but definitely nowhere near the wheelhouse there, which is what we saw tonight and that we've seen early on in the year. So I think it's more a matter of him locating his pitches. I think the selection themselves was fine, but you saw today some of those cutters just creeped right on into the heart of the zone, and that's a lineup that won't miss him. Same with the Dodgers, same with the Brewers.
Yeah, well said there. Good breakdown. Great nerdy stat of the day, as always. All right, don't go anywhere. We're going to preview Game 2 with Chris Paddock on the mound. That's all coming up right after this. Quick reminder, today's episode brought to us by Amazon Fire TV. That's the #1 streaming platform around. Fire TV, that's your one-stop shop destination for everything sports, from live games to highlights to in-depth analysis. With Amazon Fire TV, they offer amazing viewing experiences with smart TVs, as well as the Fire TV stick that you can plug into your existing TV, and it gives you access to millions of movies and TV episodes, not to mention free and live cable TV as well. And now they have their very own specific Fire TV channels. That includes all of our daily content from every Locked On channel and a vast majority of pro leagues and college conferences as well. You got to check out Fire TV channels on Fire TV and your Alexa devices. Fire TV channel, it's the newest, latest, and greatest way to tap into all your watching needs. So don't miss out. To learn more, visit Amazon.com/LockedOnFireTV. That's Amazon.com/LockedOnFireTV. All right, 2 more quickies to close here. I'm just curious, 15 games in now, a little bit bigger sample size. Which team in the AL Central or even the American League as a whole has surprised you the most now that we're over 2 weeks into the season?
Boy, surprised me the most.
Could be for good or bad, really.
Sure. I think that we're seeing some big developments from the Detroit Tigers that we saw over the weekend.
Yeah.
We're seeing some of their big lineup pieces that they're relying on, like Riley Green and Torkelson, kind of start to evolve a lot. And so it's going to be tough going with them kind of going neck and neck with the Twins, hopefully near the top of the division there.
Yeah. All right. Let's close out. Quick little preview for tomorrow's game. Game 2, Chris Paddock on the mound, taking on Grayson Rodriguez. Baltimore's bats, again, we talked about it at the top, maybe the best in the league right now. Twins bats still struggling a bit. Obviously, no Correa, no Royce Lewis, so that's to be expected a little bit. Talk to me about Chris Paddock, though, how he's looked so far this year, and then what's the Twins' chances or kind of a game preview for tomorrow as well? What are you looking for?
I'm expecting a pretty good pitcher's duel tomorrow. Paddock, we've seen some more flashes that he showed when he returned last year, just briefly in the bullpen. Really good changeup that's been located pretty well this year, and he's going to continue to get kind of some feel for that pitch. And he's going against Grayson Rodriguez, who was one of the better young pitchers that debuted last year, one of the top prospects that kind of had the tale of 2 seasons. In the first half, he definitely ate some struggles, and in the second half he had like a 2.58 ERA, and he really turned the corner. So Paddock is going to have his work cut out for him in this pitcher's duel.
All right, well said, man. Always a lot of fun with you. Win or lose, Twins drop Game 1 7-4. Game 2 tomorrow. Chris Paddock on the mound for that one. As mentioned, first pitch 5:35 p.m. Central Standard Time. As always, huge shout out to everybody that joined us on the stream. Can't wait to do this with you guys all season long. Rest assured, we'll be back each and every game, same time, same place, right here to break it all down. And quick reminder, go check out all of Lou's work on Twitter at SweetLouMN. Plus, all the work you're ripping out over at ZoneCoverageMN.com. Quick little plug on what you got going on over there right now relating to the Twins we can go check out.
Boy, so much to work with here. I would love to get in there and talk to Cole Sands, hopefully. I know that we mentioned him a few times on the podcast today, but just a really encouraging start to the year for him. His fastball's up, just kind of talking about how if there's any change in his preparation coming into this year. Cool. Is it just a matter of 1 year older? So when they come back into town, I'm hoping to get a chat with him.
Oh, man, can't wait to check that out. I know the entire crew over there at Zone Coverage, always ripping it up, so can't wait to check out, all of your work, not only just today, but throughout the entire season as well. Great stuff, man. That'll do it for us tonight. He's Lou Hennessy. I'm Luke Inman on Twitter, at Luke_Spinman. Until next time, signing out.